read this comment from Brother Supreme, and this is the conversation I actually wanted to have. Again, I was just using the Yvette convo just to get this thing started, but this is a conversation we're having today. He says, I speak the people's language. With that being said, it's a showdown that's being brewing in the Black conscious ranks about Pan-Africanism and foundational Black American stuff, or whatever you want to call it. I feel like it is a very important topic that needs to be hashed out at this pivotal stage in our journey as kidnapped people. Now, I'm not one of those deniers of my African heritage and ancestors, but I am an embracer of my unique African-American experience and culture. I feel like Pan-Africanists get real bitchy and defensive when being questioned about the goals and effectiveness of this movement or idea in 2025. I also feel like some FBA, Foundational Black Americans, people are sincere in their approach and understand, but most are misinformed, self-hating coons. Me personally, I fall in the middle. I describe myself as an African-American nigga, and I know how it sounds, but I'm honest, unlike some of y'all living in a fantasy world, but that's another subject for another time. I will end this by telling my staunch Pan-Africanist brothers and sisters that it is okay to adapt, regroup, rethink, and plot a different course. Don't wait to pivot, or you will find yourself playing the violin on a sinking Titanic. Now, for my FBA brothers and sisters, it's okay to come with new ideas and different points of view without acting like some hoes by cutting off your divine bloodline. I hope I brought some clarity to the subject, and if I offended someone, so. That's absolutely who Supreme Ra is, but I think it's a great opportunity to dialogue into the viability of Pan-African movements as it relates to American descendants of slaves or foundational Black Americans, whichever one you choose. Brother Anhk, I'll start with you, just hearing that for the first time. What stands out to you?
That he's not, first of all, that's Supreme 101, right? And he's basically saying that both sides need to recalibrate at times. And he's saying that if the people in the diaspora that's fighting against this particular movement, they're gonna find themselves they sinking. That's not gonna be able to that's not gonna fly. Yeah, and just from a business aspect, that's not gonna be able to fly. Just from business, like nobody's paying people who they can't verify that was not the descendants of slaves in America. So that's, you know, we can just see that. So that's guaranteed that. But he also says kind of like we should not disconnect ourselves from the continent of Africa. And I agree with that 100%. And that's my, you know, that's my calling card that is in my understanding that we should always recognize where we come from. You don't got to make it sacred. You don't got to make it divine. But it's important to recognize that it shows that you have broken through, right? That you're clear in understanding where your ancestors came from. At least fundamentally, you know what I'm saying? But I will say, as African Americans, we're a brand new ethnic group. It is what it is. We're not culturally indigenous Africans. We're culturally African Americans or Black Americans. We develop a system to fight against oppression. We develop a system for organizing around ideas. We have developed a system that helps us survive. Now, is it great at all times? No. But if you sit back on it, right, and take a real good look, I mean, we're positioned ourselves, all right, to move forward. You know, now there's a lot of ideas we don't even push no more, right? I'm saying in the intellects, the intelligent people, it's certain things we don't push anymore. And I think that's part of our growth and our development. But the minute you forget about where you came from, you will at least mentally return.
No, yeah, I'm with Supreme in the sense that he says he's in the middle. I would agree with that. I would say that's my positioning. Definitely never forgetting and having much respect for the ancestors, specifically those who were brought here on the Middle Passage. So yeah, having a level of reverence for that. When I was younger, Brother Chill, I'll come to you now. Definitely went through a stage of Pan-Africanism, saying, "Hey, all of us have to come together. That's the better way." And so one thing that I think that gets lost in this conversation, and again, I love what Supreme is saying. Hey, let's rethink, let's reshape. What does it look like? In a sense, I personally, I'll say this to you, and I'll let you go. That the Pan-Africanist movement of all Africans under the diaspora coming together was something that I romanticized, if you will, And so when Supreme says, "Hey, what's the questions? What do we need to revamp? What does it look like now?" I'm a big believer in questioning everything anyway. I can tell you that I question damn near everything. And so, but when it comes specifically to this conversation, I think we do romanticize it from the standpoint that it could be less effective than we actually think it could be. Because here's a comment I always say: no race has ever come together to do anything. And that's something I've been landing the last 6 months. I've been really highlighting it, and I'll build on that. But I'll go ahead and get your thoughts on what Supreme had to say, and I'll build on that thought of no race has ever come together to do anything. But let me hear your thoughts before I build on that.